You can't master what you can't measure. Have you ever heard that expression? Well, it's a very common principle in business, but it's really true for public speaking too. You can only master what you can measure. Have you ever wondered how you can actually measure your speaking impact? Now we're all on virtual stages. This has become absolutely critical, especially because we can't see the audience all the time, that we learn how to determine how impactful we are. So at one time, I used to think that speaking was just talking, telling people what I know. Can you relate? Maybe you thought the same thing. Well, that was until I discovered something that completely turned my approach upside down. There are many speakers in the world, and there's a proliferation of them now online. But do you agree that not all speaking is impactful? So what you're about to pick up in the next few minutes is a technique that you can use right away. And when you use it throughout your whole message, it will not only help you measure your impact, but it will also help you to deepen the connection with your listeners. I wish I had known this years ago when I was standing in front of my dream audience at the time. I don't know about you, but do you have a list of dream audiences or clients that you want to get in front of? Well, imagine me several years ago. I was about 5 years as a speaker at that point, and I just landed this opportunity to speak to a dream audience. And I had been preparing for months for this presentation. And the day finally arrived, and here I am, sitting in the front row, waiting just minutes before I'm supposed to get up and speak. And I was both nervous but excited at the same time because I had been preparing months for this moment. But I wasn't prepared for what happened next. Now, if you had been sitting next to me that day, you would have seen the event coordinator come and sit on the other side of me just minutes before I was to get up to speak and lean in and whisper these words to me. I'm so sorry. We are so behind in our schedule. I have to cut your time in half. What? I screamed so loud. Well, actually, to me, it sounded loud, but it was just because it was on the inside. I scrambled. I'm like, what are you talking about? What am I going to do? But I had minutes to think. I'm not sure what you would have done. In an instant, I was up at the mic and I did probably what you would have done. I took my notes and I began to speak as fast as I could to get out all the content I had prepared because it was good content. And at the end, I got it all out. At the end of my time, I put out all the information that I had prepared. So I was thrilled. That was until I looked up and I realized I had completely lost my audience. I failed to do the most important thing. That by far was the most embarrassing moment of my life. The event coordinator, she couldn't even look me in the eye. I don't blame her. I couldn't look me in the eye. I left that day feeling like a failure. I had completely let down the organization that I was speaking for. But more importantly, I had let down the audience. But that experience became a catalyst and sent me on a journey of year after year trying to find answers, weeding through training and people's advice and people's opinions until I met CV, who became one of my mentors and coaches, and helped me understand what went wrong that day and how I could avoid ever having that happen again. But more importantly, he helped me to understand what was necessary if I wanted to be a speaker with impact. It was from him that I learned that speaking is actually not so much about what I have to give, but it's about what my audience is taking away. You see, I was so focused on squeezing in every bit of information that I squeezed my audience out. I was more concerned with my content than with connection. I wasn't just speaking to everyone. I was speaking to no one, maybe to myself. So I had to learn a lot from that experience. And more importantly, I had to learn how to adapt my message on the fly. But there was one thing that I learned that became a game changer, a golden nugget. So if you would like to learn this simple technique to increase your speaking impact, I want you to put yes in the chat. Have you ever heard of a speaker? Have you ever heard a speaker and said to yourself, wow, she's speaking directly to me? Like you felt like she was speaking directly to you. Well, that is the same effect you can have on your audience by implementing this technique. It's called speaking to one. Now, you might want to write this down. The best way for me to illustrate this is what I call the hallway test. So pretend you and I are in a hallway. I'm walking towards you, you're walking towards me. We meet, and I say, how many of you have ever been to Vancouver? You're like, who are you talking to? How many of you? Okay, say we're going down that same hallway and we meet again, and I say, have you ever been to Vancouver? Do you feel the difference? The difference is the second time, the structure of my language was that I was speaking to one. Have you ever? Whatever you can do in a hallway to one person, you can do on a stage. When you do this, this not only helps you to connect with your audience more deeply, but it also helps you to be more concise and impactful when you speak. You know, just by simply restructuring your language and speaking to one person on a virtual stage, this is imperative now because of the different kind of communication and the less cues that people have. So by simply doing this, you will increase your impact exponentially, I believe. By making this one simple tweak, you'll notice a tremendous difference in your impact. So as you keep your focus not so much on the content, although content is important, you need to give value, but rather how you deliver that content in such a way that connects with your listeners. Because speaking with impact has everything to do with connection. So the next time you speak, I want you to turn your content into places of connection by learning how to speak to one. And when you do, your listeners will probably walk away feeling like, wow, she's speaking to me. And you will speak with greater impact. Thank you.